Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation, and our last podcast of the year.
And today we're covering the underrated Disney film, Atlantis, the Lost Empire. You probably heard of it.
Yes, and much like Treasure Planet, this movie was a box office flop at the time it was released, but it gained a huge cult following decades later. So now we have to cover why this movie is hits so differently, I should say, from other Disney films. But
before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and notifications for some future podcasts and we'll pause videos.
And thank you for subscribing to us, sharing our videos, commenting, everything you've done for us this year. We truly appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
So we finally got to do this, and we were looking on demand and different places for it, and we learned that unless you could get a DVD from the library, you had to see it on Disney Plus.
Right.
Not happening.
So we luckily found it at the library, our local one, and decided, hey, why don't we cover this for our last podcast of the year? Because last year, if you recall, we did Treasure Planet.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to do this one because these two movies were in the same vein of being movies that were wanting to be really different.
Mm-hmm.
The movies that are still done in 2D, and they were movies that really Disney didn't want to do well because they wanted to step away from 2D and forced in failures.
And a big plus for Rascal, the original designs and concepts involve Mike Mignola.
Yes.
So for those of you not familiar with Atlantis, the Lost Empire, it came out in 2001, sci-fi action adventure film,
Mm-hmm.
and it was produced by Walt Disney Feature Animation and released by Walt Disney Pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And it was directed by Gary Truesdale and Kirk Wise with a screenplay by Tad Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
But when we saw Mike Mignola's documentary, they really should have put his name in here somewhere.
Yeah.
It wasn't fair. Had a great VA cast we'll go over later. And it ran for 96 minutes. Originally, it was released in June of 2001 at El Capitan Theater, and then the rest of the United States in June 15th.
Mm-hmm.
Had a running budget between 90 and 120 million, which was a lot for 2001.
Right.
So Disney has been going over budget and spending a lot of money needlessly for a while.
Right.
And this movie grossed $186 million.
Right. And again, at this time, Disney wanted to step away from doing 2D to go fully computer animated. And they claim also at this time people were not looking for 2D movies or movies like this anymore, looking for live action, which is now a complete 180. They're looking for more 2D movies, and they almost refuse to do it again. Like, I don't know what's your problem, Disney. But it's also something really different because it was a sci-fi film like Treasure Planet. And we have seen some people, they don't really care for Disney sci-fi movies. They've usually been known for fantasy, classics, fairy tales, adventure. And when they tried to do things that stepped outside of that, they weren't very well received, or they were well received, or they just didn't go see it. And that's what people kind of mention now. There are some that just don't care for sci-fi from Disney. They're trying to do all sorts of brands, but they some do not care for it. But this and Treasure Planet both had big followings much, much later, saying they were way ahead of their time in terms of the stories and the writings and the themes and everything.
Now, for the writing of this story, well, the screenplay was by Tad Murphy, but the story itself, they credit 6 writers, one including Josh Whedon.
Mm-hmm.
What I understand, again, is why Mike Mignola's name isn't on here.
Yes, because
the artwork or the story.
Right.
So he kind of got screwed over in 2001 by Disney.
Because it was supposed to be done in his art style, but then they changed it, and you could tell now if you look at his art style and look at his movies, it does look like something he would have, including with the tone having to do with these lost legends. What's funny is that decades later, about I think 2024, suddenly Disney calls him and said, hey, remember how we didn't credit you for Atlantis over almost 30 years ago? Well, we need you to do this book where it's just done in your style because you're not off our hook yet still. Right. It was sort of scary how they just out of the blue said, hey, come work on this now. But it's like, you still remember. It's kind of scary to keep track of everybody worked on everything.
You saw the 100-year anniversary and how they showed all this storage and stuff like the Vatican.
Yeah.
It surprised me that they would have everything there probably that's ever being done and
Right.
written, ideas and everything that's in there.
Right.
So this film's production began after they finished The Hunchback of Notre Dame back in '96. It took them that many years
Wow.
to come out with another movie. And they wanted to do something instead of another musical.
Mm-hmm.
And so they decided to do this adventure film inspired by Jules Verne, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yes, which we've read.
Right. And we've also seen other versions done by different people. So as we mentioned, this was notable because they adopted the distinctive visual style of Mike Mignola. Again, not crediting him anywhere.
Right.
And he's also one of the film's production designers.
Yes. Then you look at it, does look like a lot of stuff you would see in the Hellboy comics, even the animated movies.
It also stood out because it made a bigger use of using CGI than any of the previous movies they've done before, as you mentioned, that were in 2D. So this movie was meant to probably start another chapter for Disney. But as you mentioned, for some reason it was not well received and pretty much rejected. Although it was not a box office failure because they recouped more than the 120 million or the 90, whichever it was.
Right.
But critically, it was a failure.
Right.
And with audiences, which is really odd because the biggest thing I remembered seeing it the first time was Michael J. Fox.
Right.
Sorry.
He was the star of it. Well, there's a bunch of stars, but he was the main star.
So this was our second time watching it together. And then things came back as we were watching it. And maybe part of the reason why it really wasn't well received is because it had a darker theme in it. Now, Mike Mignola was involved, so duh.
Yeah.
But it had a darker theme. And for a while, it wasn't very nice. It didn't seem like there was going to be a happy ending. It had some cultural references. And you could also say a little bit of a cultish feel to it.
Yeah, and the way they designed Atlantis. Yeah.
And the way that things happen within the story itself.
Yeah.
So maybe people were pushing back against that.
That's possible. And when you watch it, it sounds like something, not only just a Mignola type story, but also you would see like Indiana Jones and type of adventure movies, they go on a quest for something. And here, it's Milo proving the existence of Atlantis, and they take from the lores and everything and look for clues for the city existing. And one man you see in the movie has faith in his findings. Everyone else at the museum, university he worked for, thought he was a lunatic because no one's ever proved it. And then you start seeing why no one's ever proved this existed, because they kept themselves thoroughly hidden, plus with an accident that gives you more twists.
And that's why another reason I say this is when you think about it, you're talking about the lore and the things that happen within it that truly are supernatural.
Yeah.
They don't have anything to do with science, but it's listed as sci-fi. So maybe they miscategorized this movie. Because when you watch it, it's really more lore and supernatural. Yeah. And a little bit of the occult. There's little sci-fi except for in terms of them discussing things. Yeah. And Milo being an adventurer and a scientist. Right. Other than that, it really isn't sci-fi when you think about it.
Yeah, true. And so
I was going to say, so the good thing is the animation is really good.
Yes, very.
Great voice cast.
Yes, and especially so many stars.
And it was something that they hadn't done before. So I do applaud them in 2001 in stepping out on a limb to do something different. What I don't applaud for the fifth time is screwing over Mike Mignola and not giving him credits in the movie or in the story writing or in the art or in the production.
Right. Like, oh, well, you can make the graphic novel version. That makes up for 30 years ago, just about. Like, yeah, sure it does. No. So, now, again, we don't want to give... We say spoilers, but this movie is, decades old. But just in case, we won't reveal too much. We want to say, just like Treasure Planet, it did deliver on doing something really different, and a lot of times was exciting. And they had characters that were memorable despite there being quite a bit on the screen. True. Which now when they do, all they do is use them for reference and just try to get a joke out of the one reference. And here they at least try to build a dynamic with the cast, because everyone, of course, was an oddball in there.
And there were two things that we discussed when we were watching it. And one of them I didn't know had been widely said online until you told me. That Milo's character reminds you of Daniel from the Stargate series.
Yes.
The movie, not so much, but to me, the one who played Daniel in the series, yeah, he really reminded me of him.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing you pointed out is that, okay, they painted him as being a loser. And the only way he could get a girl is going to some secret hidden century.
Hey, like the aliens.
With a Kita who didn't know anything about the outside world or people.
Okay.
And then he seemed like he was a genius to her. And I was like, that's kind of not
nice.
Great. No, it wasn't.
No, but hell, this is really just normalized now. It's like, if you can't get anywhere in the regular human world, you have to go to another place or dimension or time or planet for you to have any chance, because no one on this planet wants them.
And I'm sorry.
Poor Milo.
It's like correcting Sokka in the live action Avatar. Milo was not a scientist. He was a linguist. Because remember, he was able to read the language as well as they could.
Which
somehow. And he was a cartographer, a map drawer, like Sokka.
Right.
So they didn't even count him as being a scientist.
Right. And
how was this sci-fi?
Right. And they had to get other people involved with different skills for it to work. So I don't know. Yeah, why would it be called science fiction? Is Atlantis considered science fiction or something?
It's considered a myth because they are still trying to find proof of Atlantis. But even then, it's not sci-fi. So, guys, let us know what you think in the comments. As far as I can think, this was a miscategorized movie.
Oh, well, yeah. Maybe it should have been just adventure or something, then it would have worked.
So, it was a fun watch for most of the movie. As I mentioned, it got darker in some places. Mm-hmm. It even got a little violent. Mm-hmm. You had some deaths of characters.
Yeah, which, I know it's Disney, but dang.
And you got an ending. I don't know, depends on whom you are, whether you consider it happy or not.
Oh, yeah, like Simpsons. Is this a happy ending or a sad ending? It's an ending. That's enough.
Yes. So let's go through the cast quickly. We can mention a couple more characters as we do that. Mm-hmm. As we mentioned, Michael J. Fox is Milo James Thatch. Mm-hmm. I told you what his jobs were. And he was recruited to decipher the Shepherd's Journal and direct the expedition.
Right.
And no one believed him. As you said, they made fun of him, didn't think anything he said was valid. Well, he proved them wrong. Right. Then you had Cree Summer.
Yes!
As Kita,
big girl.
Or Kita Gakash Nutaka. Mm-hmm. If you want to correct me, that's fine, guys. And she was the Princess of Atlantis, which we don't even know if there was ever such a thing. But it was Disney. They had to have a princess.
Yeah.
And that being said, how come she's never in the princess
And people have been asking that. You never qualify her.
Are you so embarrassed that you don't want to pretend she doesn't exist? Well, that's kind of not nice either.
It's very rude.
And she became Milo's love interest. Mm-hmm. And she was portrayed as someone else as a young child. Mm-hmm. And Cree Summer also voiced the unnamed Queen of Atlantis, Kita's mother.
Right.
We had Don Novello as Vincenzo or Vinny Santorini. Mm-hmm. And he was a demolitions expert.
Boom!
Phil Morris as Dr. Joshua Strong Bear Sweet. Mm-hmm. He was the medic. And he was supposed to be part Arapaho and African American.
Really? Okay.
James Garner, who's a celebrated actor, was Commander Lau Tiberius Rourke, who ended up being a villain.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised because James Garner never played villains in real life.
When plot twist villains actually worked.
Yes. Jacqueline Obradors was Audrey Rocio Ramirez. She was a mechanic and the youngest member of the expedition.
Right.
Florence Stanley was Wilhelmina Bertha Packard.
Oh my God.
And she was one of the comic reliefs.
Yes.
She was the radio operator, and she did the chain smoking.
Oh my God.
She reminded me of the woman who played the bailiff on Night Court.
Right.
She passed.
Right.
John Mahoney as Preston B. Whitmore. He was the millionaire who paid and backed it. Mm-hmm. And Lloyd Bridges was actually originally cast and recorded, but unfortunately he died before the movie was completed.
Oh, so you get to see it.
And so they were casted with John Mahoney.
Okay.
Claudia Christian as Lieutenant Helga Katrina Sinclair. Mm-hmm. Rourke's German-born second in command and Crazy Woman.
Right.
Jim Varney as Jebediah Cookie Farnsworth. Mm-hmm. And he was supposed to be
another comic relief, right?
The chef, yeah. And he was the Western they needed.
Yeah, I guess.
Unfortunately, it was another sad story. He died in 2000 before the production ended, and the film was dedicated to his memory.
Yeah.
And Stephen Barr recorded supplemental dialogue for him
Right.
that he couldn't record himself. So that's odd. 2 deaths before the movie came out of 2 VAs.
Yeah, it is
Corey
odd.
Burton as Gaydon Mole Moliere. He was a French geologist who acts like a mole. Leonard Nimoy is Kashkim Nautica, the king of Atlantis.
Yeah, which was a huge surprise. I didn't know who he was back when I saw it.
And David Ogden Stiers is Fenton Harcourt, a board member of the Smithsonian Institute, who just treated Milo like crap.
Right?
So you had a great cast. Some that we recognized, some that we're very surprised at. And this is when Disney really took their time casting people that really would bring through the character. It wasn't based on how the person looks in real life,
Right.
or gender, or sex, or nationality, anything. It was who could perform the role best.
Right.
And I missed that from Disney movies and a lot of other movies.
Right.
Because the profession is called acting.
Right.
So when they perform something that is not how they are acting
Right.
and performing. But for some reason, people no longer want acting and performing. They want the
Right.
people to be just like the character. Therefore, it's no longer acting.
Right.
So I'm glad this actually came out before this time.
Right.
This is a good movie to watch if you've never seen it. As you mentioned, it had mixed reviews. Rotten Tomatoes, before it was rotten, really rated it low. And audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film actually a grade of A.
Really?
And as I said,
Surprise.
it made back more than what it took to make it, so
Right.
it wasn't a failure. So
Well, Disney it was.
So if you've seen Atlantis, The Lost Empire, let us know in the comments. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you see it when originally released? Did you see it on DVD like we did? Did you see it on Disney Plus?
Right.
Let us know what you think. And if you haven't seen it, DVD or Disney Plus are the only ways you're going to get to see this.
Right.
You
and
have a
don't
very difficult find locating it.
and don't bother with the quote unquote sequel. It's just some episodes from a canceled spinoff series, and they weren't really that good either.
And we won't be covering it.
No.
But give it a watch, come back, and tell us what you think.
And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and book videos for your anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. Thank you again for joining us today. We hope your year is ending on a high note.
Yes.
And you're looking forward to new year, new opportunities, and new beginnings in 2026.
Yes.
As always,
You are special. Thank you so much for watching Mask Entertainment.
And Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
And reporters sitting flashing lights, trying to walk around, man, who the hell are you? What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. With her in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket, give it to